Good evening, you awesome people. So, we are about to leave the month of September, but I just wanted to give everybody a reminder that this last month had marked both National Recovery Month and World Suicide Prevention Day. And this is important that we remember this because the holidays are coming up and there are probably going to be a lot of people out here dealing with, family issues, things of that nature that they're having a hard time dealing with. And just remember to be kind. But, there's links between suicide and substance use, right? They go hand in hand. My plan is to open a facility that deals with both issues holistically and without the use of man-made pharmaceuticals. So people who are experiencing a mental illness like depression or anxiety might use drugs or alcohol to cope with their symptoms. This is called self-medicating, and it can cause substance use disorder. Risk of suicide increases if an individual has both a substance use disorder and another mental illness. So statistically speaking, alcohol was present in 25% of suicides where autopsies were performed, and 27 to 50% of young people who die by suicide have a substance use disorder. 30% of hospitalizations for opioid poisoning are the result of self-harm, including suicide attempts. Recovery can be thought of as a way of living a satisfying, hopeful, and contributing life even with the limitations caused by illness. Recovery needs to be realistic and meet people where they're at in the present moment instead of imposing idealized goals that might not be attainable. Each person's recovery journey is unique, and people need to be met with acceptance at each step. Substance use disorder refers to varying degrees of excessive use of a substance. It is a category of mental illness in the handbook that psychiatrists use when they are diagnosing. A substance refers to any illegal or legal drug, including medication, alcohol, and opiates. Some symptoms of substance use disorder include not fulfilling one's obligations due to substance use, social or interpersonal problems due to use, or eliminating or reducing activities because of use. People develop substance use disorder in a variety of ways. For example, some people use substances to cope with unbearable physical and or psychological pain caused by trauma, mental illnesses that are possibly undiagnosed, and or physical health issues. Self-medicating can lead to substance use disorder, which makes a person even more vulnerable to suicidal behavior. Substances are effective at masking pain, but they do not address its root causes. Forms of treatment that target all aspects of a person's health can address the source of the pain more effectively and help the person's healing and recovery process begin. Why does substance use disorder increase risk of suicide? Well, people under the influence of substances, including alcohol, may become more impulsive, have impaired judgment, and lose their inhibitions, all of which increase the chance of suicide. Substances may be used to ease the distress of the act of suicide itself. Substance use disorder may lead over time to changes in the brain that result in depression, and suicide risk increases if the person has substance use disorder and another mental illness at the same time. Substance use disorder can disrupt relationships, causing a person to become isolated from their supports and lose their social connections. This may also increase the risk of suicide. Substance use on its own may increase the likelihood of suicide. However, the likelihood increases even more when the person is experiencing other challenges. Some of these challenges include substance use disorder occurring along with other mental illnesses such as depression, PTSD, and anxiety, feelings of hopelessness, stressful life events, lack of social support, chronic pain, history of childhood abuse, belonging to a sexual or gender minority, and a previous suicide attempt. Young people aged 12 to 24, men aged 40 to 65, and older adults over the age of 65 are the most likely groups to experience substance use disorder. Young people may experiment with substances or use them to cope with mental health concerns. As their brain develops, they may lack impulse control and may therefore use substances more frequently than any other age group. Middle-aged and older men have some of the highest rates of suicide, and many men may turn to substances to cope with emotional pain. As men have been socialized not to talk about emotions or to seek help. 25 to 50% of older adults have a substance use disorder while also having another mental illness. They may also use substances to cope with life events that occur more frequently later in life, such as retirement, the death of loved ones, and deteriorating physical and mental health. Warning signs for suicide include any significant change in behavior, talk about suicide, indicating hopelessness, lacking a sense of purpose, exhibiting uncontrolled anger, and withdrawing socially are signs that a person may be thinking about suicide. A person with substance use disorder may show other warning signs like increased substance use and risk-taking behavior like driving drunk. If someone you know is exhibiting warning signs, or if you're just generally worried about them, have an open, non-judgmental conversation. Talking about suicide will not increase the chance that someone will think about suicide. If they're considering suicide, connect them with the supports described hereafter. Begin the conversation by mentioning your concerns. For example, I've noticed you've been drinking more than usual and driving drunk. That's not like you. Are you okay? Listen to a response for expressions of hopelessness or sadness, and avoid offering solutions. If you're still concerned after hearing their response, explore further. Ask about their situation or feelings. If you're worried they're thinking about suicide, ask them directly. Are you thinking about suicide? In the United States, you connect them with number 833 or 211, which will direct you to the United Way. Enlist others to help. For example, talk to family members, friends, or talk suicide. If the person has immediate plans to die, contact 911 and ensure that they are not left alone. Other ways you can support the person is to offer to be their support person to call when they need to create a when they need to talk to someone or create a safety plan with them. So how can suicide in people with substance use disorder be prevented? Just as there are factors that may lead to mental distress and ultimately thoughts of suicide, there are factors that can increase resiliency and promote hope, belonging, meaning, and purpose. For people experiencing substance use disorder, some of these factors may include having reasons for living, being in active recovery, which takes many shapes and forms, and having trusting relationships with family, friends, colleagues, and a counselor, physician, or other service provider. Often suicidal thoughts and behaviors in substance use disorder are treated separately, but people who are experiencing both need treatment for both. Mental health service providers need to work alongside those who work with addictions. Studies show that most people who die by suicide have had contact with their health care provider in the months before their death, and 45% had contact within the last month. Healthcare providers need to be trained to identify and address signs of suicide and substance use disorder. People who consider suicide do not actually want to die. They want the pain of living to end. So we can all play a role in illuminating hope for a person considering suicide. It's people, places, and things. It's not just solely related to drug addiction. It's anything in your life causing you chaos. It's the insanity, doing the same things or the same person or people and expecting different results. It's the narcissist manipulating your every weak moment. It's your broken heart crying out for love from individuals who are incapable of loving themselves. It's your soul lost in a dark room searching to find a crack to shine through in hopes that someone will find it. It's the child inside of you just wanting a hug from mom and or dad. It's the messy room, house, car, whatever it may be of your personal surroundings that is clouding up your energy. It's the drugs and alcohol, the people that supply it, the involvement you feel you owe the game with the fucked up sense of loyalty we justify just to feel a part of something. It's the you that's in the way of yourself. It's the negative self-talk that is engraved into our brains from a mind so complex that simply allows all the examples I've listed to continue. You have to retrain your entire being from all the trauma you have endured. It's not an overnight process. It's long-term consistency of continued self-evaluation, doing an inventory of that negative life you have caused yourself, getting rid of the negative people, and building a positive network of like-minded individuals who have all been there in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, because it's not. You go through moments of loneliness where every wound you have attempted to bandage is wide open and it hurts. But the process is worth it. When you learn to feel again and manage those feelings, it's such an incredible experience. You find out who the fuck you really are. You get your life back, or an even better one that you've never had before. Then every battle along the way was worth it, to experience what you thought you would never find or never have again. It just takes digging deep, and you find that it and that you were there the entire time. It takes a choice. Are you ready? I'm ready for you. And you're in the right place. Talk to me. And with that, I'm complete.